hi to everybody online. A warm welcome. I will declare the meeting open at 5 o'clock, and just noting that we are having a training session for counsellors who are just next door. So we might need to just do a quick pause on this meeting for 10 minutes, giving an opportunity for the rest of the meeting to join and give us quorum. I believe that's just a procedural motion.
Sorry. You can move a procedural motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so I don't have a second technically. Okay, procedural motion to adjourn for 10 minutes. We will see you back shortly. Thanks, Councillor Daniels. traditional custodians on the land on which we live, work and play. We pay our respects to Darkinjung country and elders past and present. We recognise the continued connection to these lands and waterways and extend this acknowledgement to the homelands and stories of those who call this place home. We recognise our future leaders and the shared responsibility to care for and protect our place and people. I remind councillors that and all those present that your image and what you say will be broadcast live to the public, so please be mindful of your actions and your comments. Please avoid making statements that might defame or offend, and note that a recording of this meeting will be retained online. Please turn your mobile phones off. Earlier today we had a phone go off, so please make sure they're off. Please do not film or photograph those in the meeting. Tonight we have an apology from the Mayor, and we also have a request to attend online by Councillor Daniels. I will move a motion that this be admitted. Can I have a second now? Councillor Eaton, all those in favour? Councillor Smith, Eaton, Wright, Stanton and Daniels. In dissent? All those? An abstention, Councillor Neal.
Didn't abstain.
I called for it for all those in favour and all those in dissent. Now for disclosures of interest, please, anybody who has a interest to disclose for a conflict, please let me know now. No conflicts to declare. Thank you very much. We'll now move to the confirmation of minutes. Can I have a move for the recommendation? Councillor Eaton, seconder, Councillor Wright. I now put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Daniels, Councillor Smith, Councillor Eaton, Councillor Wright, Councillor Stanton.
What motion are you putting, Chair?
All those in dissent?
The question of the Chair, which motion are you putting?
Confirmation of minutes, as we've just said.
I asked you to clarify if there's a reason to do so. I will vote in favour of the minutes.
Unanimous, thank you. I think we'll just skip over resolving by exception, as we only have 2 items that we will discuss both of them.
Chair, I think we've got to vote on it, although I agree there's nothing to do because it's an item on the agenda. So I think we probably still need to.
Sure. Do we have any items that we would like to resolve by exception?
No,
Not for me.
Okay, I move that
I think.
nothing be resolved.
No, I think we just
Seconder.
be noted that.
All right, all those in favour?
Yep.
Unanimous, thank you.
I just think because it's on the agenda, you got to do it.
So we now move to item 2. Could I please ask Councillor Neal to please stop filing your nails at the committee meeting?
Why? You don't have any power over that.
Councillor Neal, I think it's inappropriate to be doing that during a committee meeting.
I think what
Well,
you're continuing.
Councillor Neal, I'm going to ask you one more time.
I'm not complying with your personal remarks. You're completely out of order and you have no power to direct in that
Director.
regard.
Personal matters is up to the particular person. Let's just move on. He's being.
I'm just going to ask you again, okay?
I'm asking you to stop persisting in personal remarks that are outside your power and just so
Councillor Neal,
Let's just go back.
Can I request we move on?
sure, but I'm just going to say that this is not a personal remark. So now on to 2.1, the capital works progress. We tend to get this every meeting. Councillor Neal, please can I ask you to stop filing your nails at the committee meeting?
Okay, let's just move on.
I think you've been asked by the members of the committee.
I agree it's inappropriate.
To move on.
Not going to stop. Let's just get going.
I'll move the, sorry, are we going to have any comments from the director or otherwise I'll move the staff.
Yes, I'm just going to give a bit of a summary of the changes that we can see between what's been shown to us at the last committee meeting 2 months ago. We get that running table, which gives us an idea of what's happening. This year, Council is delivering 362 budgeted projects valued at $320.1 million. Several major projects have had milestone changes, mainly due to design delays and design amendments for grant-funded projects. Some of these include the following projects: the Ocean Beach and Rawson Road intersection upgrade had its construction timeline extended to financial year 2027 to 2028 due to alternate design options, and a requirement to retender for these detailed design works. Another project, Stein Road upgrades next stage, is delayed due to delays in the design completion as a result of Indigenous heritage findings and requirements.
Madam Chair, could I just ask a question on that? So going back to it, do we have any rough timings on Stain Road?
I think through you, Madam Chair, there is some information in the attachment.
Yeah. So it's really looking at sort of April, May next year.
Yeah.
So
I think presumably, take 6 months or so.
Yeah, at least.
maybe it's a conversation for another time, Director. But you know, while I'm not complaining about the delays, because I understand the reasons for it, in your opinion, is it worth somehow letting the community know? Because I know they were expecting it last financial year, come onto council, and a lot of people will be asking about it. Is it worth something to sort of say, hey, just going through this process at the moment? You don't have to answer yes. You can say no. I'm seeking your expertise.
You, Madam Chair, Councillor. Look, I think there's an obligation. We do have our capital works map that identifies the current year's progress. We might be able to add something on that to define, give a bit more information. So we'll certainly look at some opportunities there through existing means.
Sure. Yes, I'm not saying it needs to be on the front page of the local paper, but yeah, that could be suitable.
Okay, we'll move on to another project, Mannering Park Shared Pathway. This has a revised program to address earlier delays with construction, and it's now expected to be completed in financial year 2028 to 2029.
Moment, Chair.
Yes, Councillor?
I'd rather hear from the director rather than another councillor, truthfully. I mean, it's obviously they're the person responsible. It's not really appropriate that you should be reporting to us as the chair on items that are the responsibility of the director.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor. In this instance, I've already discussed this with the director. The director and their staff have already provided me with this commentary. This is the information provided directly from staff. As the chair and as the meeting that we just came out of, I am here to deliver a quick summary of what's happening. Very happy to pass to the director to add further information, but this is directly from him.
I've got no problem with you doing it, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Eaton. Now for some tracking and catch up on these figures. As of the 31st of August, the actual expenditure is 25.98 million against the forecast of 32.86 million, which is 79% of the annual KPI. We do have a target of 90% target, and most of the projects do remain on track to achieve the projected forecast for the year, and material changes will be reflected in the Q1 budget review. Project teams are actively working to catch up on the delayed milestones where possible, and it is expected to be followed through. Yes, Councillor.
It's a question either to yourself or to the director. Are there any particular projects that may be, say, running ahead of budget or have been bought for?
No, Chair, it's all right. Yes, through the quarterly processes, we do have a number of projects. There's literally quite a few variations. So some are slightly ahead and some slightly behind.
Well, another question I had was, I guess not so much major projects, although some of them may be. And I do definitely, again, it's not a critique as it was the last time. With the 10-year road renewal map, for example, the road will say, 25, 26, and people go, well, is that July 1 or is that June 30? Is there any more clarity around, so the others, okay. break it down to two parts. So that's one part. So people go, okay, when is it going to be? Whereas I know, say, with the playgrounds, it's the same sort of scope, but what they seem to do is use the first 6 months as, consultation, assessment, and then roll it out in the second half. Is that how the road system works, or are you upgrading roads this financial year or financial year?
Through you, Madam Chair, that's right. The roads are slightly different. Some works actually can't be undertaken on a coal pavement. So we actually do start the work a little bit later in the financial year. So you do have the warmer weather, so the asphalt, especially on spray seals, it won't actually work if you do that with a coal. So it is focused more so in the warm months.
That's fascinating. Didn't know that.
Yes, Aidan.
I've got a couple of questions when you're ready, Madam Chair. Thank you, through you. One that's not on here, I assume it's under the 10 million, is the skate park at Lake Memorial. I think construction's about to start on that. If you don't have the figures, I understand because it's not on the chart, but if you could let me know in due course, that'd be appreciated.
I don't have those figures.
One that I would have thought would be on here, but maybe it's too early, is FOGO. Because I know that's roughly $100 million estimate.
To you, Madam Chair, to Councillor Eaton, whilst the entire project, and you're right, that's the figure that we're looking at in relation to the entire project. That would be mostly not funded directly by council as a capital project. So part of what that's process of FOGO, what that we've adopted is it'd be taken up by who's providing the FOGO service and the facility as part of a rate through the whole process. That was going to give us the opportunity to utilise council's domestic waste reserve to minimise the, I suppose, annual fee going forward. That was something that.
So because it's a contract that hasn't been.
That's right.
Madam Chair, could I request through you maybe that project, and I'm not sure whether it belongs to this committee or maybe the Environment Planning Committee, but I think we should get regular updates to one of those committees. I have to see what the director thinks about which is the appropriate one. But I kind of think it probably is this committee because it's really a big infrastructure project.
Are you wanting to use the skate park?
No, I'm talking about the FOGO.
Oh, sorry. I thought that
Thank you, Madam Chair and Councillor. Look, it's not appropriate at this point. It isn't a capital project because it has to go through that tender process, and we are putting it's approximately 12 months in relation to the expression of interest that we agreed to. As council agreed. So there's nothing to report at this point.
The expression of interest. Are you about due to go out?
We made a decision to do it, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's actually happened yet.
I thought it was scheduled to go out late. Not much of this year list. Sorry, one other question with your indulgence, Madam Chair. So when I see that there's a couple of major projects have been put back, that would tend to indicate that there will be there'll be an adjustment in Q1 report, which I assume would come to the next council meeting, some millions of dollars in the capital works program. Is that the way it's going to happen, Mr. Director?
Through Madam Chair, I haven't actually seen the detail of the queue changes. They closed off in the last day or so, but I understand there is some changes into moving some of the funds into later years and trying to make sure that 4 year is balanced. So yes, that'd be part of the queue.
Thank you.
Councillor.
So I'm not sure if you finished your report, but Okay, just a question through you to the director, and it came from the earlier meeting, just about drainage at McMaster's Beach. I'm just wondering the best way to approach that. So, Director, there was a conversation at an earlier meeting, and Councillor, at a mental blank, the other councillor might be able to talk to it.
Right.
Councillor Wright. There was
As opposed to
concern
Councillor Wright.
about drainage coming from or the way of managing drainage coming from Masters Beach Surf Lifesaving Club. And it was suggested that maybe there was some work that could be done there. Now, what's the best way? Is there any knowledge of any work intended, or what's the best way of?
Take that on notice, and the best way would be through councillor request process.
Yeah, and look, my thinking was to get information from staff before we put it on up, if that was.
I think specific drainage inquiry came from the showers being.
Yeah.
That sort of drainage.
Yes, so I don't think it's.
Oh, I thought it was drainage work under the.
Yes, I don't think. It's not so much like a big
serious
road. Yes,
stuff.
Councillor Wright.
So basically, because it is going to become more and more topical.
Oh, let's move on.
It is going to become more and more topical because one of the agreements, so we had a meeting, Councillor Walsh and I, with the Surf Club, with the Community Association and the board riders. You know, there was a sense that they weren't happy with the rock bagging proposal. So we looked at another number of measures, to look at how we can mitigate erosion. And one of those measures was, while it might sound rather ineffective, was actually turning the shower off that sits at the top of the surf club, because there's no drain. So as you stand in the shower, and obviously anyone who's been to McMaster's Beach knows with wind, that water flies everywhere. So it's going down the front of the dune and cutting to create erosion. But to answer the question, that is part of the motion that was moved, that the council will investigate drainage as part of that. So the drain is really nothing more than a small.
I thought you were talking
shower.
serious drainage works.
No.
I withdraw.
No, fair enough.
Okay. We'll take that as a note. And the photo as well, which the director will look at.
Can I, Madam Chair, add to the motion that I think I actually, I can't remember if I said it on.
Yeah, please feel free to move something.
That, well, one the recommendation, but two, that the committee get regular reports on the progress of the FOGO initiative. Given the, just speak briefly, given the committee only meets every 2 months, and and it might well be that it's a very short report most times, but given it's such an important project, I think that would be reasonable.
Could we potentially?
Sorry.
No, please, Director.
Look, I think maybe we'll take that offline and certainly have a discussion, because there's a couple of components to that, because it may not be a actual capital works project. So that's where I'm walking at.
But it doesn't really matter.
That's what I'm getting at. The process of
It wouldn't be in this report, it'd be a separate.
Yeah, but this is around capital works, and at this stage, that's why expressions of interest are going out to the industry, and it may well end up not being a capital works project, because they may find that there is another way to process all of our FOGO somewhere else, and it's not a capital project. So that's my resistance to put it to this.
I think it's an infrastructure project.
In all fairness, I hope it is. Like, I think that's what preference, would be. However, we don't know what's going to come back from the expression of interest. So I just.
Sorry, who's they? Sorry, through chair to the director. Who's they that you talk about? They may decide.
The industry.
Right.
So once we go out.
Are you suggesting it won't be within the day? It's an option that won't be in the budget.
We're talking, I don't know, councillors, because that's what the expression of interest. We don't know the outcome of what expression of interest might well come back to council with.
Madam Chair, I press the amendment if there's a seconder for it.
Could I ask, before you formally put it, could the wording potentially be that as and when there are updates on FOGO, then it to come rather than a standing agenda item.
Yeah, that's okay. Work with it.
Okay.
Happy to second that. In terms of the wording, we're just going to word it like that.
That would be my preference, and I would be happy to second that as well.
Well, I think
Just to say that when there's an actual update, it can come, and then if there's no update, it doesn't need to be an agenda item.
as and when, we receive regular ups, as when available, progress on the FOGO initiative or something like that.
It's like as and when, as when it's updated. Like when there's an actual update, it'll come.
Yes, but we still need to get the
The
wording right.
committee,
On receives regular updates on FOGO.
On FOGO. FOGO, FOGO.
as and when as and when new information, as and when available, as and when
Is that a
new
delay?
information arises.
So that happens.
It's up to you.
That's.
Wait, so yes,
It's coming.
we amend the available to as and when new information arises. Yes.
Good for you, Madam Chair. This is probably something that we've been grappling with in relation to when does capital works for this particular one. So it was through the Environment Committee at that point, and it's not until it becomes a capital works. So I'm happy with the recommendation. However, the future might change and it might go to another committee.
Sure.
I think that's
Yeah,
where I'm
sure.
getting. I have a problem with providing the dates. It's how we utilise the right committees.
I think, I'm sure I'm asking the question to you two, so to either of you. I think
Through the chair.
it sounds like, regardless of if this sits in another bucket, Director, it sounds like you are still going to have some oversight of what's happening. So, it may be good to get, another director's perspective of, hey, so what's happening from the environment side? You can say, oh, from the infrastructure side, as we said, even just a quick update to say, it's going to, yes, tender's closed. Even just a brief couple of sentences is great for us because when we're getting asked by the community, we can say, the director said.
I think that covers us.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I can second if needed.
Yeah, I moved it. Good.
Oh, I'm happy to second it.
Yeah, sorry.
So in that case, let's put the motion. All those in favour?
Second.
Councillor Eaton moved, Councillor Stanton second. Thank you.
And your motion again, can you?
Those in favour? That's unanimous. And now we move to 2.2 regarding the animal care facility, and I now invite Director Luke Nichols, who is not here and apparently is in charge of said item. But do we have a staff member who would like to take this? Director,
That's
please.
okay. Madam Chair. As you recall, at the last infrastructure asset committee, was a request that a report be brought forward to this committee around looking at ways to fast track the animal care facility. Council officers have provided some information in the report. Essentially, looking at the design and construct option that could bring forward the completion by approximately 6 months versus a design tender build, which is currently proposed and we're resourced to do. In the report identifies approximately about a $1.5 million that it may cost if it was fast tracked in that fashion.
I will move the staff recommendation. If I have a seconder, then we can open for discussion. Thanks, right. Sorry, Councillor Super. Would anybody like to pose any discussion on this item? Yes, Councillor Eaton.
What else? When you said $500,000, is that in addition to the money that's been allocated within the budget, or $500,000 within the budget?
through you, Madam Chair, Councillor now, at $1.5 million additional to what's in the budget? 1.5 million.
Seems
It's
an
10%.
it seems an extraordinary amount of money. What's the basis of that advice?
In simple terms, through you, Madam Chair, Councillor Neil, whenever there is a more complicated project, I suppose, so we don't have the skills, the design component is quite thorough. So things like, all the soil conditions, the drainage, I think there's some acoustics. So all the design elements are reviewed and determined at that design phase, so that when a contractor is tendering, there's certainty around that process and they're not putting a margin in for that risk. So you're novating that risk when you're not doing that preliminary work. Tenderers tend to price that into their submission. The other thing is you would tend to get less contractors that have those dual skill sets to do that design and construct. So, instead of getting 10 responses to your tender, you might only get 4. So there's less competition.
Is there any other possible methodology for fast tracking the project? Because as you're aware, there's a lot of concern in the community for the fact that this has been delayed substantially. And I understand that the expenditure, what's the total contract price?
I think the budget is through you, Madam Chair, approximately $15 million.
That's 1.5 on top of 15. So, but I just, if you have considered what other methodologies they might be for trying to increase the speed of this project or in some other way prioritise it, that you can suggest, because there is, I think, a lot of unhappiness in the community about this delay.
I think to that point, I just did discuss this with the director prior to this coming on the agenda, and I'm happy to amend the recommendation accordingly to say to request that staff investigate options for fast tracking the existing timeline. And I think from my discussion, Director, and please feel free to add to it, that there may be some room for the assessment timelines within council. We could maybe shift some of those accordingly. Is that a correct assessment of that?
That through Madam Chair and partially answering Councillor Neil's comment. I think there's some opportunities. There's two, I suppose, opportunities that we get tender information. So I can talk to our team about seeing if we can condense that in any way. So I'll look at those sort of opportunities to, for a few weeks, at either end of the processes. I have spoken to the team about that, and there is some opportunity. We might be able to put a provision in as well to see in the tender if we can ask for alternate tenders that might condense the time frame, and if there's no material difference, we might be able to get a really good result out of that as well. So
It's just, you didn't actually get an opportunity to finish answering my question. Are there any ideas that you have now? I'm great to see them explored, but is there anything you are aware of now that could potentially speed up the project?
I suppose there was, through you, Madam Chair, there's those things that I've just mentioned. There's nothing more than I've just mentioned there that we can think of, but certainly while we're looking into it, something else, but I can't see anything.
Councillor Eden.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I do find it quite extraordinary that it's a year and a half from now before we'd actually start shifting. Can I ask through you to the director, did this report get sort of fact checked by your own construction staff, procurement, contract procurement people? I mean, I've noticed it's come from manager. On top of it is animal care type manager, which it's their facilities, and that's sort of reasonable they're there, but I just hope it's been fact checked. People, because I mean, I can say, I asked my brother, who's a very experienced construction manager, currently building the subway to the new airport, and he was less than complimentary about what was in the report.
Well, I can talk to you about the concerns, maybe offline.
Yes, I wasn't going to go
But through you, Madam Chair, certainly the instruction was a dual report that both the asset owner and our procurement team provided input into this report.
Chris, I mean, effectively, it's a tin shed with a concrete slab, isn't it?
That's probably a bit of a simplification.
I know. That is a very, maybe it's a throwaway comment, but it's not much more than that. It's not, you know, an office building or a hospital or something that is incredibly complex.
So, question, Madam Chair.
You have an on the record response for that.
No, I do not.
All right, last question. This one's a little bit easy. Why wouldn't we be doing things like geotech, you know, at the moment? Maybe we are, is the answer to that.
I think. Andrew, if there's any other.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Look, we generally put that onto the lead design consultant, which we haven't engaged yet. So we've just come out of the DA process, finalising the plan of management, which is one of the DA conditions. Once we have that finalised, we can release to market to engage a lead design consultant, and they would generally undertake all the required ground investigations. There has been basic geotech as part of.
I would have thought so, yeah.
But look, it's not. It doesn't suffice.
No, I mean, I understand it's got a
detailed design process.
I would have thought that was one way of advancing the project, that's all.
So we generally put that on the design consultant. That'll form part of our design brief for the lead design.
Is there any reason we couldn't do it ourselves and whatever other studies, and then we brought the program forward by 3 or 4 months?
It's something we could take on notice and definitely have a
Well,
look.
it's covered
I
in,
think it's covered in.
it's covered in that anyhow, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we definitely look at opportunities to fast track during the whole project. And again, a lot of it's dependent on budget availability too, because we can fast track, but
I did wonder whether the program was designed to suit the budget rather than the budget being designed to suit the program.
I think there's a tendency for things to, with all due respect to the director, is a tendency to save money. Projects not happening when they go to other intention or unintended.
Anyway, I'm happy with the motion.
Perfect.
Thank you, Madam.
And I think also just to note on that geotech, just I guess doing it as a pre to the design potentially holds its own risks that the design and then builder need to rely upon our expertise as opposed to them holding the whole risk of the project. So I'm sure that's all taken into account by the staff. If Councillor Wright is still happy to second, as I did include that amendment after we'd already moved.
Deleting the continues line.
No, that's perfect. Exactly how it is.
They contradicting.
One of the current delivery model and timing instead of the alternate, which was that we would pay 1.5 to potentially change the timeline basis. So that I think that motion is still, unless the director disagrees, but.
I think that covers it. It's the current delivery model, and it gives me a request to look at other options.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Wright?
Very happy.
Perfect. Okay, well then I'll put the motion. All those in favour of the motion as it appears on the screen. Councillor Daniels. Oh, sorry.
The sun was.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. And I know our next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 10th of February in the new year. Yes.
Can I just say, even though we don't business, I'd like to say how good the pothole map is. Well done.
Yes.
Media on it, so a good news story. So
Congratulations.
just throw that in.
That one.
Unofficial general business.
Thank you, Councillor Smith.
So we don't have a committee meeting in December?
Our next one is in February in the new year,
Are there any committees in?
December. We will have a coastal
Yeah,
estuary
yeah.
risk subcommittee in November and December. But this meeting next year. So I will now declare the meeting closed at 5:45. Thank you.